So if you are an expert in your field and you know that there's a way you can help people through having some sort of education or coaching offer, then you might be wondering, where on earth do you start if you don't have any actual experience in that field yet? And the reason that I'm making this video is because a guy left a comment on one of my videos a little while ago asking this exact question. He said, I am an expert. I have successfully done what I'm wanting to help people do, but I just don't have any proof of concept. So I imagine a lot of other people have this same question. And to be honest with you, this is a question that I had when I started off with my education coaching platform. And so in this video, I'm just going to show you exactly what I did and exactly what people like Sean, the guy who left a comment, can do to get your first customers in the door, even when you don't have a proof of concept. Now, a lot of the time, people get caught up in the idea that they need case studies and testimonials before they can launch their business. But what comes first? A case study and then a client, or a client and then a case study? Naturally, you're going to need a client or someone that you've helped with a transformation. Now, let's say you don't have a client. Let's say you don't even have someone that you've helped for free. The next option is to look at your own situation and see, how is it that you helped yourself with the transformation? So the example of this fellow who left the comment said that he had successfully built a company, and a large part of the success of that company was because of his skill set in social media marketing. And that right there is your first testimonial. It's your first case study. It's you. It's how you did the thing using your skill set and how it transformed your business. And when you don't have a lot of clients, of course, you're not going to have case studies or a massive proof of concept across different industries and stuff like that. But that will come with time. But in order to make that happen, we need to get our first client. And in order to get our first client, all we need to do is demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. Now, in order to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, it's actually quite simple. And most people overlook this. And you'd be surprised the number of, in my humble opinion, very, very successful people that have literally asked me, David, I don't know what I have to share. I mean, I look at people out there like Alex Hormozy or Simon Squibb, and they've done so much. Why would anybody listen to me? And that's a fair point, but you're missing a little key here. And that is, they're in a completely different game. They're serving completely different people. And so we don't really need to worry too much about the game that they're playing, unless you aspire to be like that. But for your average person who has expertise in a certain area, really, you don't need to have massive crazy accolades. All you need is somebody who has the problem that you can solve. And so we need to attract them by providing them value and also building some rapport and trust with them. Now, to build the rapport and the trust, you need to demonstrate that you're an authority on what it is that you're talking about. So yes, you can do that by providing valuable information, but if you want to take it to the next level, what you really need to be doing is bringing in actual examples in your own story of how you ran into problems and how you solved them. And you don't need clients to do that. In fact, you just have to look at where you were at the beginning. So maybe you started off without any skills without any expertise in this particular area. And then you started to acquire the knowledge. And then you started to implement that knowledge. And based on that implementation, you got real world feedback on what happens in your business or what happens in your life when you do this. So if you're doing relationship coaching and advice and stuff like that, what you would do is reflect on the changes that you made in your own life to bring more successful relationships into your field. And you would use examples of how when I was trying this happened, but then when I started to try this, something different happened. Another example could be if you're doing social media strategy, you could talk about how your strategy at the beginning wasn't yielding the viewership that you wanted. It wasn't bringing in customers. And so then I tried using a different strategy, and that strategy grew my audience. It allowed me to reach more local businesses, and it allowed me to increase my revenue by $5,000 a month, just as an example. So the very fact that you're an expert on something means that you have not only learnt about the thing, but you've lived the thing. And living the thing is what gives you the first testimonial case study, so to speak, and it is you. It's your case study. I mean, for about 10 years, I've been making videos, short films, content, ads, and through that process, I learned how to tell stories. That also then got me in the door with quite a lot of different companies to help them tell their story so that they could sell their apps, their products, their services. And so I slowly was building my skill set, and there's always a point where you're going to exit the comfort zone and be in this place of, I don't know if I can actually help this person. Like I'm pretty sure I can, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't yet done it. And that's quite normal. That's what I call taking the leap. You're leaping from one side of the canyon to the other. The first side you're on, it's known. You are comfortable there. There's not really much risk involved, but there's also not much reward. And then on the other side, in order to get there, you've got to cross this big gap, which is pretty risky. And you don't know what's going to happen when you try to cross that gap. And most people don't even bother taking the leap. But if you actually want to grow your client base, you need to take on the first client, and you need to be nervous about it. And it's only through going through that process that you get to the other side and will eventually have a proof of concept, a case study, a testimonial, whatever you want to call it. And most people don't want to take the risk because they're afraid of the outcome. What if it doesn't go according to plan? And the thing is, a lot of the time things don't go according to plan in life, in case you haven't noticed yet. But that's okay, because you can always just remember the fact that the person you're working with is a human, and they're aware that certainty is not real. So if something doesn't go according to plan, you can just work it out, have a conversation about it, see if you can make adjustments to the agreement, maybe decrease the fee, maybe you give them a refund if you wanted to. It's up to you what you do here, but remember, you're dealing with humans, and humans are pretty understanding a lot of the time. And if they're not understanding, then it's good to be mindful of who it is you decide to work with. Manage expectations at the beginning. Don't be over-promising. Under-promise and over-deliver. That is the safest way that you can cross that canyon. But ultimately, it's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be scary at the beginning until you get the proof of concept. The proof of concept does not come and then you start having a successful business. You embrace and trudge through the discomfort on the way to the proof of concept. And when you get there, then that's when you can start to scale, and that's where you're naturally going to have more confidence, because confidence loves evidence. And once you've gotten to the other side of the canyon once, then you're probably going to have a lot more faith in yourself to do it again. And that is essentially how you get your proof of concept. Some other ways that you can do it are just to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm doing this new thing and I'm looking for a guinea pig. Would you like help? Do you have any problem within this area? And if they say yeah, then just say, okay, cool. Well, how about I'm going to help you, and in exchange for my help, I'd just love it if you could give me a referral or film a little video testimonial so that I can help more people. And at the end of the day, the testimonials, the case studies, the proof of concept, all it really is something to mitigate risk and increase the level of trust that you have with people. And it's actually not really necessary. To be honest, I have very rarely been asked for case studies or testimonials. I actually just posted one yesterday on the channel, but other than that, most people work with me based on the fact that I just show up and share my value and share my own stories and experience. And that's a hell of a lot more powerful than you might think. So don't discount that. And really, case studies and reviews and all of these things are just a cherry on the top to help you go that extra mile. But we all start with nobody. And the hardest thing that I've seen is to go from 0 to 1. But then when you get your first paying customer, then all of a sudden you realize it's possible, and all you have to do is do more of that same thing in order to get more customers, to help more people. So if you are an expert and you know you've got stuff to share, first reflect on how it's benefited you, and then tell stories about that. Build your audience, build your platform based on that. And the value that you give to people, ideally, they can go ahead and implement that in their own life. And if they hit a bottleneck, if they get stuck, who are they going to turn to? They're going to turn to the person that gave them free value in the form of videos and content and say, hey, I'm having this problem now, could you help me? And then it's just a matter of having a conversation and deciding if it's a good fit for you guys to work together. So the proof of concept, it's not supposed to be easy to get it. If it was easy to get it, everybody would be self-employed having businesses that run really well, but most people don't do that because it's very uncomfortable at the beginning stages, because you haven't yet validated to the outer world what you're doing. Now, for the person that I decided to make this video for, it's a little bit different because he had a huge success story, but just wasn't tapping into it. And so that's the invitation for you here today, my friend, is to just unpack your journey thus far and reflect on that and see, where were the struggles? How did I solve that? How can I condense that into a story with some value and action steps in a YouTube video? And that is how you have your first case study, so to speak. And then it's just a matter of talking to more people and helping more people do the same thing that you've already done for yourself. If you want a full breakdown of the whole process that I personally use in my business and that I share with clients, then you can check out this video here where I detail literally exactly what I've done to build out my own education business. I think that might be helpful for you.